Jaye Nrsimha
Nrsimhamatim Sharanam Prapati
Nrsimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye
Tavakarikam Lavavinaka Abhichashingam Tarita Yuvadikashipam Tanipringam Kisadvita Tarimupa Lajagadishali
Tavakara Kamala Vare Naka Matuta Sringa Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Sringa Keshavadrita Narari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Silent Vishingati, Vishingati, Vishingati,
Jaya Nrsimhade 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 Jaya Nrsimhade
Silent Palakamba, 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 Palakamba,
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada
Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Simpati.
Jai
Lord Shingdev, Lord Shingdev, Lord Shingdev.
Lord
Thanks. Right. Okay, this is a reading from the Krishna book, and it's chapter 44. Krishna recovers the son of his teacher. All together now.
Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshamam Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Krishna Krishna Parimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam Krishna Kesava Krishna Kesava Krishna Kesava Parimam.
You're a bit impressed, right?
When Lord Krishna saw Vasudeva and Devaki standing in a reverential attitude, he immediately expanded his influence of Yogamaya so that they could treat him and Balaram as children. As in the material world, the relationship existing between father and mother and children can be established amongst different living entities by the influence of the illusory energy. So, by the influence of Yogamaya, the devotee can establish a relationship in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is his child. After creating this situation by his Yogamaya, Krishna appearing with his elder brother Balaram as the most illustrious son in the dynasty of the Sattvatas, very submissively and respectfully addressed Vasudeva and Devaki. My dear father and mother, although you have always been anxious for the protection of our lives, you could not enjoy the pleasure of having us as your babies, as your growing boys and as your adolescent youths. Krishna indirectly praised the fatherhood of Nanda Maharaj and motherhood of Yasoda as most glorious, because although he and Balaram were not their born sons, Nanda and Yasoda actually enjoyed their childhood pastimes. By nature's own arrangement, the childhood of the embodied living being is enjoyed by his parents. Even in the animal kingdom, the parents are found to be affectionate to their cubs. Being captivated by the activities of their children, they take much care for their well-being. As for
Vasudeva and Devaki, they were always anxious for the protection of their sons, Krishna and Balaram. That is why Krishna, after his appearance, was immediately transferred to another's house. Balaram was also transferred from Devaki's womb to Rohini's womb. Vasudeva and Devaki were full of anxieties for Krishna and Balaram's protection and could not enjoy their childhood pastimes. Krishna said, "Unfortunately, being ordered by our fate, we could not be raised by our own parents to enjoy childhood pleasures at home. My dear father and mother, a man cannot repay his debt to his parents, from whom he gets this body, which can bestow upon him all the benefits of material existence. According to the Vedic injunction, this human form of life enables one to perform all kinds of religious activities, fulfill all kinds of desires, and acquire all kinds of wealth. And only in this human form is there every possibility that one can get liberation from material existence. This body is produced by the combined efforts of the father and mother. Every human being should be obliged to his parents and understand that he cannot repay his debt to them. If, after growing up, a son does not try to satisfy his parents by his actions or by an endowment of riches, he is surely punished after death by the superintendent of death and made to eat his own flesh. If a person is able to care for or give protection to old parents, a chaste wife, children, the spiritual master, brahmanas, and other dependents, but does not do so, he is considered already dead, although he is supposedly breathing. My dear father and mother, you have always been anxious for our protection, but unfortunately we could not render any service to you. Until now, we have simply wasted our time. We could not serve you for reasons beyond our control. Mother and father, please excuse us for our sinfulness." When the Supreme Personality of Godhead was speaking as an innocent boy in very sweet words, both Vasudeva and Devaki became captivated by parental affection and embraced him with great pleasure. They were amazed and could not speak or answer the words of Krishna, but simply embraced him and Balaram in great affection and remained silent, shedding incessant tears. Thus, having consoled his father and mother, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the beloved son of Devaki, approached his grandfather Ugrasen and announced that
Ugrasena would now be the king of the Yadu dynasty. Krsna had been forcibly ruling the kingdom of Yadu, in spite of the presence of his father, whom he had arrested. But after the death of Kamsa, Kamsa's father was released and announced to be the monarch of the Yadu kingdom. It appears that in those days, in the western part of India, there were many small kingdoms ruled by the Yadu dynasty. The Andaka dynasty and the Vrishni dynasty and the Bhoja dynasty. Maharaj Ugrasena belonged to the Bhoja dynasty. Therefore, Krishna indirectly declared that the king of the Bhoja dynasty would be the emperor of the other small kingdoms. He willingly asked Maharaj Ugrasena to rule over them because they were his subjects. The word praja is used for progeny and for citizens. So Krishna belonged to the praja both as a grandson to Maharaj Ugrasena and as a member of the Yadu dynasty. Thus he voluntarily accepted the rule of Maharaj Ugrasena. Informed Ugrasena, being cursed by Yayati, the kings of the Yadu dynasty will not rise again against the throne. It will be our pleasure to act as your servants. Our full cooperation with you will make your position more exalted and secure, so that the kings of other dynasties will not hesitate to pay their respective revenues. Protected by us, you will be honoured even by the demigods from the heavenly planets. My dear grandfather, as if free of my late uncle Kamsa, all the kings belong to the Yadu, Vrishni, Nandaka, and Madhu, and Dasaha, and Kukara dynasties were very anxious and disturbed. Now you can pacify them all and give them assurance of security. The whole kingdom will be peaceful. All the kings in the neighbouring area had left their homes in fear of Kamsa and were living in distant parts of the country. Now, after the death of Kamsa, the reinstalment of Ugrasena as king, the neighbouring kings were given all kinds of presentations and comforts. Then they returned to their respective homes. After this nice political arrangement, the citizens of Mathura were pleased to live in Mathura, being protected by the strong arms of Krishna and Balaram. On account of good government, in the presence of Krishna and Balaram, the inhabitants of Mathura felt complete satisfaction in the fulfillment of all their material desires and necessities. And because they saw Krishna and Balaram daily, face to face, they soon forgot all material miseries completely. As soon as they saw Krishna and Balaram coming out on the street, very nicely dressed and smiling, looking here and there, the
citizens were immediately filled with loving ecstasies simply by seeing the personal presence of Mukunda. Mukunda refers to one who can award liberation and transcendental bliss. Krishna's presence acted as such a vitalizing tonic that not only the younger generation but even the old men of Mathura became fully invigorated with youthful energy and strength by regularly seeing him. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda were also living in Mathura because Krishna and Balaram were there, but after some time they wanted to go back to Vrindavan. Krishna and Balaram went before them and very affectionately embraced Nanda and Yashoda. And Krishna spoke as follows: "My dear father and mother, although I was born of Vasudeva and Devaki, you have been our real father and mother, because from our very birth and childhood you raised us with great affection and love. Your affectionate love for us was more than anyone can offer one's own children. You are actually our father and mother, because you raised us as your own children when we were just like orphans. For certain reasons, we were rejected by our father and mother, and you protected us. My dear father and mother, I know that you will feel separation upon returning to Vrindavan and leaving us here, but please rest assured that I shall come back to Vrindavan just after giving some satisfaction to my real father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, and my grandfather and other family members." Krishna and Balaram satisfied Nanda and Yashoda by sweet words and by presentations of various clothing, ornaments, and properly made utensils. They satisfied them along with their friends and neighbors who had come with them from Vrindavan to Mathura as fully as possible. On account of excessive parental affection for Balaram and Krishna, Nanda Maharaj felt tears in his eyes, and he embraced them and started with the cowherd men for Vrindavan. After this, Vasudeva had his son initiated by the sacred thread as the token of second birth, which is essential for the higher castes of human society. Vasudeva called for his family priest and learned brahmanas, and the sacred thread ceremony of Krishna and Balaram was duly performed. During this ceremony, Vasudeva gave various ornaments in charity to the brahmanas and endowed them with cows decorated with silken cloths and golden ornaments. Previously, after the birth of Krishna and Balaram, Vasudeva wanted to give cows in charity to the brahmanas, but being
imprisoned by Kamsa, he was able to do so only within his mind. With the death of Kamsa, the actual cows were given to the brahmanas. Then Balaram and Krishna were duly initiated with the sacred thread ceremony, and they repeated the chanting of the Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra is offered to disciples after the sacred thread ceremony, and Balaram and Krishna properly discharged the duties of chanting this mantra. Anyone who executes the chanting of this mantra has to abide by certain principles and vows. Although Balaram and Krishna are both transcendental personalities, they strictly follow the regulative principles. They were initiated by their family priest, Gargaracharya, known as Gargamuni, the Acharya of the Yadu dynasty. According to Vedic culture, every respectable family has an Acharya or spiritual master. One is not considered a perfectly cultured man without being initiated and trained by an Acharya. It is said, therefore, that one who has approached an acharya is actually in perfect knowledge. Lord Krishna and Balaram are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Master of all education and knowledge. There was no need for them to accept a spiritual master or acharya, yet for the instruction of ordinary men, they also accepted a spiritual master for advancement in spiritual knowledge. It is customary, after being initiated in the Gayatri Mantra, for one to live away from home for some time under the care of the acharya to be trained in spiritual life. During this period, one has to work under the spiritual master as an ordinary menial servant. There are many rules and regulations for a brahmachari living under the care of an acharya, and both Lord Krishna and Balaram strictly followed these regulative principles while living under the instruction of their spiritual master. Sandapani Muni, in his place in northern India, according to spiritual instructions, a spiritual master should be respected and regarded on an equal level with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both Krishna and Balaram exactly followed these principles with great devotion and underwent the regulations of brahmacharya. Thus they satisfied their spiritual master, who instructed them in Vedic knowledge. Being very satisfied, Sandapani Muni instructed them all in the intricacies of Vedic wisdom and in supplementary literature such as the Upanishads. Because Krishna and Balaram happened to be Kshatriyas, they were specifically trained in military science, politics,
and ethics. In politics, there are 6 departments of knowledge: how to make peace, how to fight, how to pacify, how to divide and rule, and how to give shelter, and so on. All these items were fully explained and instructed to Krishna and Balaram. The ocean is the source of water in a river. The cloud is created by the evaporation of ocean water, and the same water is distributed as rain all over the surface of the earth, and then returns toward the ocean in rivers. So Krishna and Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are the source of all knowledge. But because they were playing like ordinary human boys, they set the example so that everyone would receive knowledge from the right source. Thus they agreed to take knowledge from a spiritual master. After hearing only once from their teacher, Krishna and Balaram learned all the arts and sciences. In 64 days and 64 nights, they learned all the necessary arts and sciences required in human society. During daytime, they took lessons on a subject from the teacher, and by nightfall, they were expert in that department of knowledge. First of all, they learned how to sing, how to compose songs, and how to recognize the different tunes. They learned the favorable and unfavorable accents and meters, how to sing different kinds of rhythms and melodies, and how to follow them by beating different kinds of drums. They learned how to dance with rhythms, melody, and different songs. They learned how to write dramas, and they learned the various types of paintings, beginning from different village arts up to the highest perfection on stage. They also learned how to paint tilak on the face and make different kinds of dots on the forehead and cheeks. Then they learned the art of making paintings on the floor with liquid paste of rice and flour. Such paintings are very popular at auspicious ceremonies performed at household affairs or in the temple. They learned how to make a resting place with flowers and how to decorate clothing and leaves with colorful paintings. They also learned how to set valuable jewels in ornaments. They learned the art of ringing water pots. Water pots are filled with water to a certain measurement so that as one beats on the pots, different tunes are produced, and when the pots are beaten together, they produce a melodious sound. They also learned how to throw water in the rivers or lakes while taking a bath among friends. They learned a lot of fun things.
They learned how to decorate with flowers. This art of decorating can still be seen in various temples of Vrindavan during the summer season. It is called Phula Badi. The das, the throne, the walls and the ceilings are fully decorated, and a small aromatic fountain of flowers is fixed in the centre. Because of these floral decorations, the people, fatigued from the heat of the summer, become refreshed. Krishna and Balaram learn the art of dressing hair in various styles and fixing a helmet in different positions on the head. They also learned how to set up a theatrical stage, how to decorate dramatic actors with cloth and with flower ornaments over the ear, and how to sprinkle sandalwood pulp and water to produce a nice fragrance. They also learned the art of performing magical feats. Within the magical field there is an art called Bahurupi, by which a person dresses himself in such a way that when he approaches a friend he cannot be recognized. Krishna and Balaram also learned how to make beverages required at various times, and they studied syrups and tastes and the effects of intoxication. They learned also different types of sewing and embroidery works, as well as how to manipulate thin threads for dancing puppets. They learned how to string wires on musical instruments such as the veena, sitar, isare and tambura to produce melodious sounds. Then they learned puzzles and how to set them and solve them. They learned the art of reading books from which even the foolish student can very quickly learn to read the alphabet and comprehend writing. Then they learned how to rehearse and act out a drama. They also studied the art of solving crossword puzzles, filling up the missing spaces and making complete words. They also learned how to draw and read pictographic literature. In some countries in the world, pictographic literature is still current. The story is represented by pictures. For instance, a man and a house are pictured to represent a man going home. Krishna and Balaram also learned the art of architecture, how to construct residential buildings. They learned to recognize valuable jewels by studying the luster and quality of their colours. Then they learned the art of setting jewels with gold and silver. They also learned how to study soil to find minerals. This study of soil is now a greatly specialised science, but formerly it was common knowledge even for the ordinary man. They learned to study herbs and plants and to extract medicine from the elements. By studying the
different species of plants, they learned how to crossbreed plants and trees and get different types of fruits. They learned how to train and engage lambs and cocks in fighting for sport. They then learned how to teach parrots to speak and answer the questions of human beings. They learned practical psychology, how to influence another's mind and thus induce another to act according to one's own desire. Sometimes this is called hypnotism. They learned how to wash hair, dye it in different colors, and curl it in different ways. They learned the art of telling what is written in someone's book without actually seeing it. They learned to tell what is contained in another's fist. Sometimes children imitate this art, although not very accurately. One child keeps something within his fist and asks his friend, "Can you tell what is within?" And the friend gives some suggestion, although he actually cannot tell. But there is an art by which one can understand and actually tell what is held within the fist. Krishna and Balaram learned how to speak and understand the languages of various countries. Not only did they learn the languages of human beings, Krishna could also speak even with animals and birds. Evidence of this is found in Vaishnava literature compiled by the Goswamis. Then they learned how to make carriages and airplanes from flowers. It is said in the Ramayana that after defeating Ravana, Ramachandra was carried from Lanka to Bharat Varsha on a plane of flowers called Pushparatha. Krishna then learned the art of foretelling events by seeing signs. In a book called Kanarvachana, the various types of signs and ornaments are described. If when one is going out, one sees someone with a bucket full of water, that is a very good sign. But if one sees someone with an empty bucket, it is not a good sign. Similarly, if one sees a cow being milked alongside its calf, it is a good sign. The result of understanding these signs is that one can foretell events, and Krishna learned the science. Krishna also learned the art of composing matrika, A matrika is a crossword section with 3 letters in a line. Counting any tree from any side, it will count 9. The matrikas are of different kinds and for different purposes. Krishna learned the art of cutting valuable stones such as diamonds, and he learned the art of questioning and answering by immediately composing poetry within his mind. He learned the science
of action and reaction of physical combinations and permutations. He learned the art of a psychiatrist who can understand the psychic movements of another person. He learned how to satisfy one's desires. Desires are very difficult to fulfill. But if one desires something which is unreasonable and can never be fulfilled, the desire is subdued and can be subdued and satisfied. And that is an art. By this art, one can also subdue sex impulses when they are aroused, as they are even in brahmachari life. By this art, one can make even an enemy his friend or transfer the direct action of the physical element to other things. Lord Krishna and Balaram, the reservoir of all knowledge, exhibited their perfect understanding of all the arts and sciences above mentioned. Then they offered to serve their teacher by awarding them anything he desired. This offering by the student to the teacher or spiritual master is called Guru Dakshini. It is essential that a student satisfy the teacher in return for any learning received, either material or spiritual. When Krishna and Balaram offered their service in this way, the teacher, Sandipani Muni, thought it wise to ask them for something extraordinary, something no common student could offer. He therefore consulted with his wife and about what to ask from them. And he and his wife had already seen the extraordinary potencies of Krishna and Balaram and could understand that the 2 boys were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They decided to ask for the return of their son, who had drowned in the ocean near the bank at the Prabhasa, etc. When Krishna and Balaram heard from their teacher about the death of his son, they immediately started for the ocean on their chariots. Reaching the beach, they asked the controlling deity of the ocean to return the son of their teacher. The ocean deity immediately appeared before the Lord and offered him all respectful obeisances with great humility. The Lord said, "Some time back you caused the drowning of our son, of the son of our teacher. I order you to return him." The ocean deity replied, "The boy was not actually taken by me, but captured by a demon named Panchajanya. This great demon generally remains deep in the water in the shape of a conch shell. The son of your teacher might be within the belly of the demon, having been devoured by him." On hearing this, Krishna dove deep into the water and caught hold of the demon Panchajanya. He killed him on the spot, but could
not find the son of his teacher within his belly. Therefore he took the demon's dead body in the shape of a conch shell and returned to his chariot on the beach of Prabhasa Kshetra. From there he started for Samyamani, the residence of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. Accompanied by his elder brother Balaram, who is also known as Halayudha, Krishna arrived there and blew on his conch shell. Hearing the vibration, Yamaraj appeared and received Sri Krishna with all respectful obeisances. Yamaraj could understand who Krishna and Balaram were, and therefore he immediately offered his humble service to the Lord. Krishna had appeared on the surface of the earth like an ordinary human being, but actually Krishna and Balaram are the super soul living within the heart of every living entity. They are Vishnu himself, but were playing just like ordinary human boys. As Yamaraj offered his services to the Lord, Sri Krishna asked him to return his teacher's son, who had come to him as a result of his work. Considering my ruling supreme, said Krishna, you should immediately return the son of my teacher. Yamaraj returned the boy to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna and Balaram brought him to his father. The brothers asked if their teacher had anything more to ask from them, but he replied, My dear sons, you have done enough for me. I am now completely satisfied. What further want can there be for a man who has disciples like you? My dear boys, you may now go home. These glorious acts of yours will always be renowned all over the world. You are above all blessings, yet it is my duty to bless you. I therefore give you the benediction that whatever you speak will remain as eternally fresh as the instructions of the Vedas. Your teachings will be honored not only within this universe or in this millennium, but in all places and ages, and will remain increasingly new and important. Due to this benediction from his teacher, Lord Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is ever increasingly fresh and is renowned not only within this universe, but in other planets and other universes also. Being ordered by their teacher, Krishna and Balaram immediately returned home on their chariot. They traveled at great speeds like the wind and made sounds like the crashing of clouds. All the residents of Mathura who had not seen Krishna and Balaram for a long time were very pleased to see them again. They felt joyful like a person who has regained his lost property. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 44th chapter of Krishna. Krishna, you can repeat.
Stole my
please repeat this one.
You stole my page. Don't worry. Okay.
I should be condemned for this.
Don't worry.
Please forgive me.
This is
Because
our little
3
comedy.
lines only, 3 lines.
All the residents of Mathura who had not seen Krishna and Balaram for a long time were very pleased to see them again. They felt joyful like a person who regained his lost property. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta report of the 44th chapter of Krishna. Krishna becomes the son of his teacher.
Shri Krishna Bhakti ki,
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki,
Very good.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Jai. I hope you enjoyed Krishna's
Hare Krishna.
Mathura pastimes.
That's all the pastimes. Very good.
Hare Krishna.